Damn, I need a haircut. Look terrible. Huh. Anyways, hello, it's me again. It's now been a year since I've been diagnosed. I made a video back in March talking about it, and I said, oh, things are getting better. I want to live. I lied. I lied. I did not want to keep living still. I will admit today even that I have a hard time wanting to be alive, but here I am, still kicking it. And yeah, so thought I would give you an update for the last year. So I actually peaked at losing 50 pounds this year, which was good in September. But then right after I peaked and hit my goal weight, I decided to rot away and do absolutely nothing and play video games all day. And it was kind of nice, I'm not going to lie. But recently on a random Tuesday, I felt like I had a good day. I didn't feel sick at all. I genuinely had a good day, and I've never felt that ever, and I have been chasing that feeling ever since then. I try to do things to replicate it, but I don't know how it worked. So, all right, but now we're here 1 year later, still trying to deal with it all. I'm in better shape than I was a year ago, but I'm still struggling to deal with it, and it kind of sucks. My legs are definitely getting worse. Walking has gotten harder, and I'm not sure how much time I've got on those, so good luck. But I thought, why not turn my life into like a book or something? I don't know, something to give me goals. So I decided to maybe live in chapters. Maybe that'd be interesting. Live in chapters or something. So I'm gonna go over chapter 0, right? The prologue. So this last year, I thought I'd go over it. So here's a rundown of what happened. So a little before being diagnosed, I was sick pretty badly, bedridden, and I had a pretty good career, and I couldn't get my job done because of how sick I was. So I get FMLA, which allows me to be sick and to figure it out while I keep my job. So 4 months I got approved for FMLA. They fired me 2 weeks in, and yeah, that sucked. So now I'm jobless, I'm sick, and my relationship is dying, and so yeah, not very good. But yeah, they kind of did me dirty, and I'll talk about it later. But in November of last year, 2024, I had a neurologist ask me to do genetic testing, which is all you do is you spit in a tube, and it'll tell you what's going on with your genetics, and voila. I was diagnosed after 4.5, 5 years of neurologist visits and tests and spinal taps. I spat in a tube and I found out what's wrong with me. I went from the least worst case scenario where it was just a vitamin deficiency to adrenoleukodystrophy. Yeah, terrible disease. Look it up. Not fun. But I was with my ex-girlfriend at the time, 4 years, and but our relationship was crumbling. I don't think she wanted to deal with me being sick, which is okay because it's a hard thing to do, and she was on her own things. So bless her. Hopefully she's doing okay. But that was dying, and then December came around, and I finally started getting medication to help me, and I didn't feel as sick, but I still felt kind of sick. Christmas of last year, I'm sitting there in a wheelchair because I hurt my leg. I can't even use a cane, and I'm around the family and the Christmas tree, and I just start bawling. I just start crying my ass off because I don't know why. Like, it was like I just started realizing how sad life actually is now that I'm here. So it was pretty tough, not gonna lie. Side tangent, why I feel so sick is because of my adrenal glands, and I see an endocrinologist for that, and it turns out endocrinologists have like no idea how Edison's works, okay? And so I asked to up my dose because I know it makes me feel better, and they say no, it's not worth it, sorry. And so they just don't do anything to help me, and so I'm just sitting there suffering. I am suffering whenever I feel sick. I don't know how I make it. I really don't know how I do it. By God's grace, I guess. Anyways, so I'm not as sick where I can comprehend what life is like now, right? And so I'm like, all right, well, let's get married. Let's make sure this relationship works. Let's not throw away everything we worked on. But we had some disagreements, and so she left, and that was the last time I saw her. So again, hopefully she's doing well. But that ended, and before you know it, I'm at rock bottom. Okay, I'm in a wheelchair. I just lost my love of 4 years. I have this terrible diagnosis. I'm fat. That sucked too. Anyway, so what happens when you hit rock bottom? You kind of start to like look for answers, and that's what I did. I just Googled nearest church because I always hear people of going to church to find answers, and I found a church right down the street, and I called them, and they invited me to have dinner, and they didn't say a word to me about religion or whatsoever, and I was just like, oh, this is really nice. So I said, yo, what's up with this Jesus guy? And they just gave me the rundown. But it wasn't until like March or so where I started to actually kind of believe in it. So thankfully they were there because they did help me get through a rock bottom situation. And if I didn't have that, I don't know if I'd be here. I won't spend too much time on the whole religion thing, but my pastors and my friends from church, they were there when they didn't really know they were there for me. So, I had ideas of just giving up. But just being invited into meetings and groups by my pastors and friends saved my life. So, Pastor Danny, Pastor Josh, if you're seeing this, thank you. Again, I'll never be able to thank you enough. Anyways, so in March, I actually was able to get a job as a billing assistant at a freight company, which only lasted for about 3 weeks, and then I got laid off. I don't know the whole reason why I was laid off, but that was that. And after that, I made the video in March talking about, hey y'all, here's the update. I'm okay, but I straight up lied. I wasn't good. I'll be honest. I was not good. I still didn't want to live. And it was a kind of a lie. But I was just giving a heads up, I guess, to my family and friends about what's been going on. So I started just toughing it out for another couple months. And then my homie Kenny visited from Vegas, and he stayed for a good 4 or 5 days, and it was really nice not being alone for once in my life. After all this, not being alone is kind of nice. I'm not gonna lie. But then he had to go, and I dropped him off at the airport, and lo and behold, I am bawling my ass off in the car, crying because again I'm alone, and it sucks. I hate being alone dealing with this. I haven't really had too many people reach out. I've had people reach out like, hope you're good, yada yada, but I've never had anyone invite me to anything, and I'm not complaining, I'm not like that, but I'm just saying that I am dealing with this alone, and I have to learn how to deal with it alone, and I'm still learning. So the next Canon event was starting in September. That was this September. That's when I decided to just rot away. I hit my goal weight. I decided to just rot away, play video games all day, eat fast food. You could kind of say I relapsed to my old life, but I was happy. It wasn't genuine happiness, but I was happy to just kind of do whatever and not have to worry about anything. One day when I was getting my fast food, I went through the drive-thru at Chick-fil-A, and I ran into a woman who was working the drive-thru. I said, hey, can I have your number? And I didn't think of anything of it, and she said, sure. And we actually went out that night, and we hung out every night for 5 days, just having a grand old time. And but unfortunately, it didn't work out. She's on to bigger, better things now, and she moving. But we're cool. We're still good friends, and we still talk. But back to being alone. Woo. Okay. Struggling with being alone again. But she did get me out of that rut that I was in, and I started going back to the gym, eating healthier. So I am grateful for that. But again, we are good friends now, so we're cool. But I started to kind of chase that feeling of having someone again. So I started just asking people out, in person, yada yada. No luck there, I guess. So I know no one cares about me being kind of disabled, but at the same time, I just don't know who's gonna want me. Who knows? I don't know. Anyways, so here we are today, 1 year after my diagnosis, and I do think I can say things are a little better. I upped my dose on my own. Don't care. I take a Xanax every day. It makes me feel way better, and I don't suffer when I do that. So I'm kind of self-prescribing, and I don't care because I'm not suffering. So, whatever, doc. But that's the basic rundown of this last year. Not a lot happened, but some things did. So I did lose those 50 pounds, but I did gain back 10 in those month and a half of doing nothing. So, oops. So I'm back in the gym. I'll probably hop on the diet after the holidays. Get my summer bod for 2026 going. Woo. So this is going to be tough because I am trying to do more with my life and not really just kind of rot away, you know. So I'm going to try to make my life into chapters, you know, like every 3 months. I'll make sure that I have enough to talk about. But it's going to be hard though because I literally have no motivation to live, and I'm hoping this will get me to do so. I switched my accounting degree to psychology in hopes to become like a counselor or a life coach for someone that is going through what I went through, because no one knew what I was going through. People just assumed that I was just going through like a normal sickness. Nah, it is so, I can't even describe how bad this shit was, and it still is. So I hope I can help someone. So that's the goal, is to try to live in chapters from here. I don't know how corny or weird that is. I don't know. I think it's just going to force me to do stuff. But yeah, so let's see what happens, I guess. So, later.